Hey everybody, Ken Clark here with the Get Your Fix team, and this is
Marshall Shore, the hip historian.
So we are at Breadfruit and Rum Bar with Danielle Leoni, the James Beard, award. It would be, you've got fellowships and alumni, right? So I want to say these right?
Yes, okay, let's give it a go.
I want to honor you by saying the titles and not make you say them. James Beard Women in Entrepreneur Leadership Fellows. So you're a fellow.
That's right.
And you're an alumni of the James Beard Chef's Boot Camp for Policy and Change.
Yes.
And you are the only James Beard Foundation Smart Catch leader in Arizona.
Yes.
So I assume Smart Catch has nothing to do with like dating.
No, I mean, you know, I am quite a smart catch, but it has to do with fish.
So we're today talking about sustainability. And you have done some quite interesting things here along with James Beard Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about what's the big picture, and then maybe we can talk about some of the details on the menu?
Oh, sure. So what I do in conjunction with the James Beard Foundation is I work with them to make sure that all the seafood that we're bringing into the Breadfruit and Rum Bar is 100% sustainable. And what that means, sustainable, I mean, that's a really big, broad word, and sometimes it doesn't mean anything to anybody, right?
Right.
It just means that the seafood that we're putting on your plate was either raised or harvested responsibly. So it's keeping in mind, you know, how it might affect the ocean or the population of that fish, that seafood.
Okay. Now, are there other things on the menu that also have to be sustainable for you to get that designation?
Well, for the James Beard Foundation Smart Catch designation, it's all about seafood.
Okay.
So to have a leadership ranking, we have to have 90% or more green listed. And green listed is like the stoplight system. Green is a go, like buy that.
Okay.
Yellow is kind of be cautious, and red is just hold on. Like
That's not a label that you see at the store.
You won't see it at the store, but you sometimes will see ratings by Seafood Watch, which is the Monterey Bay Aquarium, and we also have a leadership role or designation with them.
Okay.
And at the Breadfruit, on our menu, we have that little James Beard Smart Catch logo and the Monterey Bay Aquarium logo, so you know everything on that menu has already been vetted by the James Beard Foundation.
Okay. And how do they vet that? Do they come in every so often and look at your books?
I have to provide them all of my purchases. So everything that I buy, where it came from, how it was fished.
Okay.
And they'll take my word for that. However, they will audit you as well. And they'll ask for invoices and making sure that we're being transparent and honest at the same time. So when you have that designation, it actually has some meaning behind it.
Okay. So they're not telling you who to buy from?
Oh, right. No, not at all. The beautiful thing about the James Beard Foundation is they really love what chefs do and how we have this connection with our community and the whole food system. It's our profession. The James Beard Foundation, they celebrate our work.
Yeah.
They never dictate it.
Right.
So yeah, they don't have their hand in that, but they do just want to make sure that we're making good choices.
And now to Marshall about the history of fishing in Arizona. Go on.
So how has your relationship changed in terms of the menu items going through the James Beard process?
Oh, right. So I've been working with the James Beard Foundation since 2016. And when I first started, it was a discovery process. I was a part of their pilot program. So I was a part of Smart Catch before Smart Catch existed. And they worked very closely with me to help me understand really what does sustainable mean and what I have to consider as a chef before I put something on a menu and ask you all to eat it.
Right.
And it turns out that, you know, when I first started, I could not have qualified to be a leader in the Smart Catch program. And it was a learning process.
Yeah.
And I was buying food that I thought was good food and part of a good food system that I realized I could be making better choices and better purchases. So my menu really evolved a lot since 2016 when I started. And it's just this ongoing education as a chef and a culinarian and being a part of a community that supports chefs and sustainability.
So in that way, you're very much like any consumer. You're trying to figure out, I mean, it's a pretty complicated network of what is sustainable and am I doing the right thing? And
Yeah, it's so much to consider. I mean, sometimes you just don't even want to, like, I'm just not going to eat it. You know, like, I don't want to think about it. I'm just going to eat a plate of vegetables, and then that gets complicated too. So I really appreciate having the support of the James Beard Foundation Smart Catch program, because it's a resource. It's founded on the Monterey Bay Aquarium science, which are incredibly, it's like this bedrock for the whole conservation community and people involved in seafood sustainability. So it's really well established. And I've learned so much more about fishing methods and the nuances of fishing methods, and we'll even consider that perhaps it's a fish that, you know, is abundant, right? And it was fished responsibly. And I might even know who the fisher is, but then I get to decide, do I really want to ship it all the way from, you know, Boston or down from Florida? And while all that is true, I'm also making sure that I'm not, I think, taking more than I deserve. And what I mean by that is, I don't want to just give you the tastiest fish in the sea and then devastate the planet while I do it.
Right.
You know, it's a good consideration. And now that I know, I know. And that's really what I get out of it, is knowing that I'm doing the best I possibly can right now.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean in a year from now, I won't look back on this and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I bought that cod.
Yeah.
You know, but like you were saying, it's a learning process, and it has to evolve.
So how has the customer experience changed from that initial entrance into the into the Smart Catch program till now?
Yeah.
I mean, what can they expect to find when they walk in now that's different?
Well, it's changed in such a way that you're not going to find the most common fish on the Breadfruit's menu. So you're going to go to a restaurant and it's going to have the salmon, and that's fine. There's a lot of the salmons. It can be sustainable.
The salmons.
It's a new TV show on CBS.
It's like the Kardashians, but now
right,
the salmons.
Right, it can get really seedy like that. So okay, a great example is tonight we are serving mullet. We're serving striped mullet from Florida. No, I know, that meant nothing
So
to
it's
you,
not
right?
just a hairstyle.
I know.
It's
I'm
not
imagining a guy with highlights in his mullet.
Exactly.
Like, nobody at this table just got hungry when I said striped mullet.
Yeah, it makes me think of Achy Breaky Heart.
So traditionally, the mullet is this like terribly shunned fish that families in Florida will have mullet tosses across fields. Like, they'll throw live mullet because nobody wants to eat the mullet. But
They must have terrible self-esteem issues.
I know, and they have mullets. And then
Exactly. I mean, the dating pool they're dealing with must be horrendous.
What do you do to
Well, actually,
shave
the
the
pool is
mullet?
quite large, and that's why it's a sustainable fish. And you should be eating it. So
Okay.
the Breadfruit today has striped mullet, or we'll do striped bass because it's in season. But we try to buy the fish that is the most abundant and plentiful and being fished properly,
Yeah.
but isn't your go-to, I know that fish, it's safe, I'm gonna get that thing on the menu. But that's just not how the Breadfruit really works, you know?
Right.
We like to offer you something a little different, and I think after over a decade, people just trust us.
Yeah.
Price. What is that consideration for you?
That is such a good question. So people think, oh, I have to eat well, I want to eat organic, I want to eat sustainable, equals giant price tag.
Right.
It's the total opposite. Like, if a mullet has so much value that people are going to throw it across a field,
Yeah.
it can't be that expensive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you all get to enjoy that price break on the menu. So the most sustainable fish that's not, you know, it's contributing to a good ecosystem and healthy fish stocks, and it's super tasty, is also going to be a lot less expensive than that red snapper or that halibut or that mahi-mahi that, like, coveted, everybody knows cuts, you know, of fish.
But in some ways, I think it really goes also to, like, some of my favorite experiences in restaurants have been where they've taken the simple, or what almost would be considered like peasant food, and now taking and elevating that. So not just treating it as like, oh, we're giving you the best and just making sure everything's the best, but now giving you this kind of working food that now we have to really work to make go on this altar,
Right.
which I think is really interesting.
And I think maybe the key here is if we name some of the fish differently. I think if there's a Steve Buscemi fish, the price will drop. Because who wants to eat Steve Buscemi off a plate? Anyway, I think
I could take a poll for you.
Please do. I want surveys on your
But
table.
the beehive I would be so into eating the beehive fish.
The beehive
Especially
fish.
the beefy who's playing in the background
Oh,
as
yeah.
I'm eating. I mean,
Well, it looks like I have 2 brand new dishes on my menu.